Okay,
I'm also so I want to log in on my
wait. You have
like
to use this guy.
that fast swapping card. This card is already.
There's no SIM card.
Ah, guys, I've said this earlier. Yeah, start setting up here too.
No, you just
Can you guys hear me though? Alright. This one's-
Hi, Perry. We can't hear you. I'm not sure if everybody can hear me.
Okay, sorry about the delay. I was having some technical issues with my headset. I had to change it. All right. So I was saying today that our topic today is agile methodologies and how to work smarter. Yeah, especially terms of coming, how to work smarter in a team. Because I know you guys are working in a good experience. Now it's the time to work the work. You've been talking the talk, now it's the time to do the work. That's what you building stuff for the business. So yeah, so today you have Sandra. Sandra is a product manager at Career X. So she's going to teach us how to work smart and its own, how to get the goals being achieved. So Sandra, you can tell your mind, you can tell your videos. You can say hi. Sandra, are you there? Still confirm that my mic is working. Yeah, you can do it thumbs up if you can believe in. I know I'm really say thumbs up for me. Yes. That's good. Hey, Sandra, are you there? Are you present? We're having some technical difficulties. And I think Sandra might be having some technical difficulties, and that's why she's able to present. So while we look at her to get that second. Like we said, we have you guys are working on your project right now. Yeah, but some of you are working solo. Like Sandra is here. Sandra,
Hi. Can you hear me, Perry?
I can hear you. It's like you're having some technical difficulties.
Yeah, I think my earbud has refused to connect to Zoho for some reason, but I have disconnected that so I can speak now.
I was having some difficulties as well with so I had to change my headset to actually I don't know the logic behind it, but I think it has a glitch or something.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So we have the floor. You can start presenting. How come you want smarter in an app?
Okay. Um, can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can still hear you.
Okay. I'm sorry. Could you repeat the question you asked?
I was saying that you have the floor, so you can tell us how we can work smarter in the team.
Okay.
Yeah.
I need a second to share my screen.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Hi everyone. Good evening and welcome to today's Variety Friday. Um, I don't know. I probably know some of you, and some of you would probably know me. Nice to have you here, and I'll just dive right into it. So today I'll be taking you on.
Right here, it's full. Thank you, sir. Can anybody hear Sandra? Okay, so you can't hear her. I think she's having some technical. Must be her network and
Out.
the
This goes, you know, how very advantageous and useful the agile methodology is or has been historically and still is, which is why for even it started off as a project management tool, and it has also become a product management tool, and people are not dropping it or giving up on it, because something that happens with education is that as new things, new trends come up, or just as new working styles come up, people study it, and maybe with the newer generations, they get to decide, does this work or does this continue to work for us? um, and agile has stood the test of time. It has been around for a while, and it's been useful, and it's been even the most useful to people in the tech space or to tech firms in developing their products and delivering products, software products to their clients or their consumers or customers. So I what I have done is that I have attempted to break down agile methodology as a topic, for just as a guide. Not necessarily, I don't really want it to be like lecture. I just want it to be like a guide as to how you want to relax into or sit into your role. Whatever your role would be, you could be transitioning into design, or just entering the tech space for the very first time, and you are entering as a designer, or um, as a product manager, or just whatever it is. Everybody needs some sort of, because we hear about the agile methodology a lot, and a lot of times I feel like when I was getting into the tech space, nobody really took the time to, do some sort of induction for me into agile and what it entails. And I feel like I was just thrown into the tech space, and I just had to figure things out for myself. And when they would say stand-ups, when they would talk about the sprint reviews, the sprint plannings, and all that, I had to, kind of figure it out, because the theory is sounds so good and so sweet, but the practicality of it is not always exactly the same. So I do hope that this lesson makes you feel more familiar with the agile methodology in the tech space, as you transition into your new roles, or as you get comfortable with the new role that you have found yourself in. Okay, and my name is Nzube Sandra Owakwe. As I believe she already said, I didn't get to hear that because I was having problems with my the system settings and all that. So And this is the introduction. Welcome to Agile. So the first question is, why Agile, and like, why is it even a topic of discussion? Why does it even come up? Are there no other methodologies for handling project management, or products or product development in the tech space? Are there no other options or systems that you could run and achieve the same results? Not quite. So there are other options that you could explore, but over and over again, the agile methodology has proven itself to knock off every other method that could be or is out there. Now, it doesn't mean that there are no other options. It's just that teams have found it just through history and presently teams have found it that it's easy to take up the agile mindset and its methods in managing themselves and managing external teams and as well as managing what do you call them, managing collaborative or internal teams as well. So here it says the agile is a mindset and methodology for working collaboratively, iterating quickly, and delivering value continuously. So the whole concept of agile methodology is that it is designed for software or project management, and it emphasizes flexibility, collaboration, and customer satisfaction. So what I feel at the core of agile methodology is that the goal for it is flexibility, right? It gives room because you cannot claim to be in collaboration with other teams and external stakeholders. You cannot claim to be in continuous collaboration with them, which is something you need, of course, to produce or to prove or create the best product that you can create. You cannot claim to be in collaboration with them and not iterate. What is iteration? Iteration is receiving feedback and updating your product based on the feedback that you have received. Now, the most common thing is that your feedback in question would come from your customers, but that is not always the case. Sometimes feedback comes from your stakeholders. A lot of times the first people that you are your other stakeholders, because customers are stakeholders as well, but a lot of times the feedback, your first point of contact while developing a product wouldn't be your customers, wouldn't be your consumers, right? It would most likely be like the engineering team. As a product manager, for example, the engineering team, as someone in the engineering team, it will most likely be someone like the designer or the product manager or something like that, or the scrum master or something. You usually the customers come after the initial stakeholders, the internal stakeholders that you have to work with. So when you collaborate and you go into these meetings and these conversations, and some updates are provided to you, or just some new information based on the efforts that have already been put into the work, is provided to you, you end up having to create updates. Now, the thing with Agile is that it gives you the flexibility to work on feedback, right? To receive feedback, work on it, and deliver value like based on that feedback. So it's like you're continuously adding value to your product, as opposed to having attempting to have one final product once, or just like just give one final product and that's it. There is no maybe just one initial collaboration, and that is it. But I feel like the concept of agile comes from the complexity that comes with working with people, working with AI tools, working with different tools. So with in respect to that, it would be, to me, it would be off for you to attempt to have just one final conversation at the beginning of your development, of your product development, and just through that one conversation you attempt to go ahead to provide value, and just that one value just without one effort. I feel like that will be futile, and I feel like given the complexity of software products or digital products, Agile has proven itself to be the best method to achieve value and provide value to your customers or to the businesses you're providing these services to. So hence why it's been around for as long as it has, and hence why it has stood the test of time. Today's focus is the Agile principles. We'll be talking about the framework, which is the most common framework that you would encounter, because we have more than just the Scrum and the Kanban, but the ones that you would come in contact with more often than not will be the Scrum and the Kanban. And then we'll be discussing the key practices and rules, like who does what for within the Agile methodology or the framework, who does what is the, you will hear certain rules like product owner, and then you hear about the Scrum Master and all that. What do they do? What do they all do? Right. So that when you do encounter them in your workplace, you're not necessarily very confused as to what does this person do that is so different from what this other person does. The benefits of, and of course, the benefits of the agile principles or the agile methodology for the teams. So the key values for the agile methodology is, first we have individuals and interactions over processes. So let me explain first what the values are. So we have values. Basically, what we are trying to say is, what is it that the agile methodology hold to its core, or hold close when it comes to working with a team? What is it that is so important to the agile methodology or to the application of agile methodology as a team? And these four things are the key things that agile methodology as a concept, or in practicality, holds dear to its core. So it's first individuals and interactions over processes and tools. So here what we are saying essentially is that we value the interactions between individuals and teams as well. We, for the agile methodology, the interactions, how you interact, how you communicate, and keep in touch, and check in with your team is more important than over analyzed processes and trying so hard to perfect processes and tools. It's very important communication, because it's one thing for everybody to continue to work on all these aspects of the product, but being able to bind these ideas, these concepts, and these efforts together to achieve the same goal is where the work is, where the main strategic work is. And for the agile methodology, it's why it upholds so much the interactions between individuals over the processes, all of those processes that you go through within your individual teams. All those individual teams would have nothing to offer if there is no way to keep communication as a priority, or like as a binding tool to get everything together and produce an actual product. So for agile methodology, one of its main values is interaction and communication between individuals and in the manner of speaking, teams. And the next thing is working software over comprehensive documentation. I think most times the onus of documentation falls in the laps of the product manager, but that doesn't mean that people from other teams do not have to worry about documentations. I know that the designers, they also worry about documentation of the wireframes and all that, and we have the engineers, they also have to worry about what their tickets, the tickets that the head of engineering is approving and all of that looks like and all that. So we, as much as documentation falls in the laps of the product manager, mostly what also happens is that there's a lot of effort to perfect documentation, and it's so easy to forget that that is not the most important thing. Now, is it good, is it a good thing that you have very simplistic and very comprehensive documentation for your products? Yes, or for your tasks, for the product or for the particular project in question. Yes, it's perfect, it's amazing, but a working software is more of a priority over having these beautiful looking documentations, because at the end of the day, the first thing, or the most important thing for a software development team is to have a working software and not to have a comprehensive documentation. The comprehensive documentation is secondary to the actual need and use of the entire team and the entire collaboration that everybody has been doing over the period of time that you've been working on the project. So for Agile, it's very important to remember that a working software is a priority over a comprehensive documentation. And then the next thing is customer collaboration over contract negotiation. We Of course, most times you have a lot of contracts that you go into in preparation to launch a product. I'm going to use that as a focal point for this particular value. You have service providers that provide you services like instant messaging, for example, for fintech Um, Parents, this fine? Can everybody hear me? Okay, I think people can hear me again. Um, I'll go ahead and share my screen again. Okay. Um, where was I? I was talking about the importance of being able to respond to changes as they come. Um, okay, so Perry, please, should my mic get muted again? Um, do text me so I can see that early enough. Okay, so I was talking about the ability to respond to changes over following a strict plan. Plans are very important and help you with your functionality or your operations, but plans should not be so rigid and strict to the extent that there is no room for flexibility or responding to changes or adapting to changes that might come while trying to build a product. So the Agile methodology also has 12 principles. I will just give you two of the principles. The main reason that I will be giving just two is that the principles are just an expanded version of the key values, right? Like all of these things that we have in the key values, the principles have just expanded them, just further expanded them and listed them in such a way that is much more simplistic to gather. So I would encourage you to go and look up the 12 agile principles and just glance through it. They at least they are not cumbersome that you can't understand it or just looking at it. And so two of the principles that I will be talking about is the customer satisfaction through early and continuous delivery. So just like the concept of agile that I talked about from the start um is receiving feedback and iterating on the feedback, right? You receive feedback, you with that feedback from stakeholders, whomever the stakeholder is, whether it's your internal stakeholders or they are your external stakeholders like your customers, your investors, and whatever, whomever it is, when you get your feedback, you want to go back to your drawing board and iterate on it and add the updates or the changes or the requested and required changes from your feedback. And with that, you're continuously attempting to deliver value and stay relevant in the market because I want you to be able to picture this as someone that is trying to discuss a new product in the tech space, right? Your conversation should be in such a way that you are really thinking of that what value your product is giving to the market, right? Because there is an existing market and there is always a competition. So you want to continue to deliver. Like first, the agile methodology allows you room to continue to create satisfaction, but not just to create it once. It becomes a continuous thing where you receive feedback, you iterate on it, update your product, and then you're able to continue to deliver value through that system or that feedback loop. And it says you're welcome changing requirements even late in development. Again, the whole concept of agile is flexibility. With that flexibility, you're able to welcome changes or give room for changes or adapt to changes or change the requirements, even if it's very late or like quite late in the development process. The goal is that there is always room for improvement, for updates, right? Or for new versions of your product. And with that, I would encourage you to go ahead and look for the rest of the 12 principles. They are as simplistic as these ones that I have, these two I have listed here. So fear not. Okay. And here we'll be talking about the frameworks that you will be working with while operating within an agile team. And one of those will be your Scrum framework. And how does Scrum function? You might have heard a lot about the Scrum, the Kanban framework, and even the waterfall and all of that. And Scrum, the whole concept of a Scrum framework is that it gives you a time, a time frame. Is like it's something that provides you with a plan, but a plan that is attached to timing, to specific dates and delivery period. And that delivery period is called your sprint. So it's the time that we always talk about with your Scrum framework is sprints, like the delivery of products or features of a product usually are grouped into sprints. It could be usually it could go from 2 weeks to 4 weeks. I have never heard of um, any sprint that has exceeded 2 months. I've heard of 2 months because this was a business to business product, and there was a lot to do, so there was a need for 2 months. But traditionally speaking, a scrum sprint lasts from 2 weeks to 4 weeks, and the goal is to be able to have conversations and find out what are the roles, who is playing what roles, and what are the things that we need, what are the needs that we need to, or what are the requirements that we need to be able to gather to be able to provide the value, or the value that we want with this product, or that we think of with this product, right? And being able to gather all of those things from different teams, or from collaboration with different teams, sometimes will take some time. And not sometimes, takes some time. You do not just roll up on a team and tell them, like the design team, and you tell them we need this, and there is no structure. There needs to be a structure, there needs to be a conversation about who is doing what and when is the expected delivery. And as well as there will be things like what you call them, the stand-ups, where you are able to check in with people and stay in collaboration with them, because you don't just create tasks and leave it that way. There are tickets that also reflect these tasks, and then there are daily stand-ups that also allow you to check in with everybody, and also allows you to provide help and assistance where it is needed. So with Scrum, we have Scrum artifacts like the product backlog and the sprint goal and the sprint planning and all of that, which we'll discuss later. And part of the Scrum team will be the product owner, the Scrum master, and the entire development team. And then outside of Scrum, we have the Kanban framework, which is more about being able to visualize your work through a board. What the board, there's a Kanban board, and what it does is that it provides you with information or quick glance at the progress of your work. It's like this: you have a product, and your board is able to tell you for different aspects of this product, or the features. Yes, for the different features that will make up this product, this is how far we've come with it. Is either it's started, or it's in progress, or it's completed, right? Depending on the tool that you are using to create your board. It uses different languages. By different languages, they are all referring to the same thing. If it's saying started, everybody knows what started is, but started could be written in a different way for a different tool. But the point is that a Kanban system or framework allows you to have a board for reference for your what you call that, for your product, or for your progress with your product. So also with Kanban, there is no specific or boxed in timing like we have with Scrum. It allows for more flexibility with timing. Generally, the Agile framework in itself, or the Agile methodology in itself, allows for flexibility. But when you use Scrum, you are expected to deliver at a particular time. And then when you use Kanban, there is not much conversation around just Kanban, by the way, because most times what you will find is that people combine these two. I have always worked with teams that combine the Scrum and the Kanban, because especially because of the vision board that comes with the Kanban. I have always worked with teams that they don't let go. It's not like they completely let go of Kanban. They pick up things from Kanban, the flexibility and the Kanban board, but then they still use the sprint because you're working with human beings, of course. There's always a need to create timing and roles and be specific with those things. So it's always a combination. But outside of that, if there is no combination, that means that with Kanban there is no specific restriction or restrictions with timing. It allows for flexibility, and therefore sometimes this would create more focus on efficiency or effectiveness of your teams than focusing on timing. Okay, so who does what within an agile team? We have the product owner, we have Scrum Master, and we also have people like members of the entire development team, from the designers, whom I believe everybody knows what people in the development teams do. But let's discuss the product owner. What does the product owner do? The product owner represents the customers and manages the product backlog and prioritizes tasks. So as someone in charge of a product, when we say a product owner, the product owner is the person that takes up the responsibility of viewing the product as from the customer point of view. So what happens for a product owner is that you have to defend your product like you are a customer, right? You have to speak up for the users of this product. You have to be their voice, because of course they don't know what is going on back end or behind closed doors. This would mean that someone needs to be able to speak on their behalf. And yet you're working for the tech firm, but your job is to ensure that the point of view of the customers, this is where we talk about customer empathy towards the customer, or customer centric products, right? The goal is that there is someone that is thinking, what would our customers like? What would our customers prefer? What would our users prefer? There is someone that is thinking that way, and it's not just what is convenient for the team, right? Your goal as a product owner is to take up difficult conversations and handle the the product backlog. The product backlogs are when you've decided on what the tasks for the product is, or for the features of the products would become. You now decide, okay, amongst all of these tasks that we've agreed on, which one comes first, right? Which of them is more important than the others? Which of them should we place above the others, right? And that is what your backlog is. With your backlog, you're able to list everything that needs to get done, right? It's like your little market list, but just a list of responsibilities or tasks that need to get done. What else? We have the Scrum Master. What the Scrum Master does is that they facilitate process. They focus on the processes. And they attempt to remove obstacles, and they want to ensure a smooth sprint. Remember, I think I already talked about the sprint. The sprint is the time box or how long it would take for a development team to finalize a product, or to develop and launch a product. So the goal of a Scrum Master is to ensure that everybody is in collaboration, to remove obstacles for the teams or everybody that would be working on that particular product. So whatever the obstacle is, if you are reaching out to, say, an external personnel that was supposed to deliver something and it's not going smoothly, you're supposed to immediately reach out to the Scrum Master. The Scrum Master would handle your obstacles and give you feedback, and they would handle the daily stand-up meetings as well. They are the ones that collect data on progress from everybody working, every member of the team working on the product. And then we have the development teams who have cross-functional responsibilities, and they usually organize themselves. Usually the Scrum Master and the product owners, they don't necessarily have to insert themselves what the what you call them, the development teams are doing, because most times development teams have leads, right? If you're talking about the engineering team, they usually have the lead engineer. If you're talking about the designing team, we have a lead designer. The QA team, we usually have the lead QA engineer as well. So they are usually self-organizing, and they are usually keeping up with you as well. So usually you even the the daily stand-ups, the way I handle it usually is that I allow the engineer in charge, right? If I'm inquiring about progress, I allow the engineer in charge to give me more like be the one that handles the sprint. I observe, right? And where I am needed, I also give, because I also have to give feedback. What is it that is expected of me? Usually there is an obstacle for me to remove. So usually I would end up having to give them feedback as well. So I play it in such a way that I am also responsible for certain tasks, and everybody there can hold me accountable just as much as I can hold them accountable. Remember, as especially if you're a product manager, you are not anybody's boss, right? And you are there to facilitate the responsibility of everybody, and to ensure that everybody is collaborating and working towards the same goal. So that means that you're working by influencing people rather than being authoritative or being in charge of people. I hope that makes sense for everybody. And then let's talk about the ceremonies, the Agile ceremonies, working together through Agile rituals. The sprint planning. So we have, remember I talked about how the sprint is the time box that everybody on the Agile team has agreed on, 2 to 4 weeks. And with the sprint planning, what you're doing is that you are deciding on what tasks you will be working on. And with your sprint planning, you're able to find out what are the goals. If we say that this is a feature that we are working on, what is the goal for this feature and how do we achieve it? So with those features, you're able to, with the decided features, you're able to work on tasks and create tasks, and as well as create tickets. What tickets do for you is that they help everybody stay accountable, and you're able to attach who is working on what to your tickets. And once it is done, you're able to close the ticket, right? And for each ticket, you know who is responsible, because the way we are talking now, if we have a meeting and we are discussing responsibilities, it will be ridiculous to expect that every single thing that we have discussed about responsibilities and tasks, that I would remember it, right? That is what tickets do for you. Your tickets, that is why they are necessary for you. And then your backlog, right, which is where you prioritize tasks. You list your tasks and then you prioritize them, right? And then they are discussed during your daily stand-ups. And then with your daily stand-ups, every day you're able to get feedback from every member of the development team. And with those feedback, you're able to know your status for each task, and how to bind them together, right? Like if we say this person is almost done, this person is almost done, at what point do we bind these responsibilities and ensure that we all have achieved the same, that one goal that we were working towards, right? That is what the daily stand-ups do for you, and they're usually like 15 minutes. And the whole concept of a daily stand-up started with just standing up to give before the remote and the virtual meetings and all that, teams didn't have the option for the remote and the virtual meetings. Teams had to work physically. And in the process of that, if your team lead walks in and he's asking questions, he's not going to have collect updates about the product and the features and spend 1 hour on that. The goal is just, so what are you doing? What was the last thing that you worked on? How did that go? You were supposed to have a meeting with this other team. Were you able to finalize on what you are going to do with that? That is what the whole point for daily stand-ups. And it was imagined, or it was decided earlier on with Agile methodology, that during stand-ups, people actually have to stand up so that the meeting is very quick, and it's not a show of ego or of power or authority. It's not the time for that. You can have separate meetings with your teams to do all of that. But stand-ups are just to provide feedbacks and updates to everybody involved and keep everybody updated and informed on what the next person is doing. And then the sprint review is just basically you're trying to discuss the progress of the sprint. So you've taken the time to plan what you'll be doing for the 2 to 4 weeks of development. So how far have you come with the sprint? And usually with the sprint review, there's usually what you call that, presentations. By presentation, I mean forgotten what it's called, where you show your products, your MVP to the entire internal stakeholders. For places that I have had the opportunity to experience, you usually would do your presentations and show the progress of your product or your MVP, what you've done so far with it, and you show, sometimes you have to share your screen, and you have to show your test environment, and everybody would see how it would function if they were the users, right? And you explain this in details. Everybody important will be in that meeting. Sometimes you have to do a different meeting for the C-suite executives, but sometimes you don't have to. Sometimes they tune into these general meetings where you're showcasing your progress or the progress of your team. So it just really depends. Everything that we talk about when it comes to Agile rituals really depends on the tech firm and how they work, or how they've always worked, and all of that. So the retrospective, the sprint retrospective is reflecting and improving process. So after we are done with a particular sprint, there are conversations around what went wrong with this sprint, and what are we doing to fix it, and like what's the next thing, like how do we ensure that this process is smoother in the future and all that. So that's what you do with your sprint retrospective. And the agile artifacts, I think I already mentioned some of this. I mentioned the product backlog, and I mentioned how it's a list of works to be done. I wrote here it's a wish list. It could be called a wish list because a lot of times you don't end up doing every single thing on your backlog. The goal is to finish it, but because of prioritization, which is mainly the role of a product manager, or the product manager, or just the what you call them, the product owner, to be specific. Sometimes it's the role of the product owner, and it's their job to really decide what really, because remember, a product owner is a very strategic position to be in, and the goal is that you're able to be the one to use business acumen, technical acumen, right, to decide on what is it that or what is the best way to collaborate and collect information and use it to achieve the goal that we are working towards. That is what you do as a product owner. And that means that when you've collected every single thing you've decided is a task, how do you prioritize? What is your strategy for deciding on what works best? So whatever that is shown on your product backlog. And the sprint backlog, I would say, in a manner of speaking, is a more expansive version of a product backlog, because sprints could involve or include more than one product or more than one feature. But when you're talking about a product, you're talking about this product. But when it's a sprint, when we're talking about a sprint, there is always the possibility that we are not discussing one feature or one product. So that is why I said it's a more expansive version of a product backlog. And the rundown chart usually comes with a Kanban as well. It's visualizing progress towards completion. Like it's something that just gives you again, like the Kanban board, just allows you to see at a glance what the progress is. Anybody could take a look at this depending on the team again. I give access to this so that anybody that wants to know where we are so far, I leave it open for people to click on and take a look. So people know your progress. If you're proud of your work, then there's no need hiding all this, because one of the things that people don't talk about is how important what you call that transparency is with an agile methodology. Because of how much collaboration is needed to bring a product to life, there is no room for secrecy. There is no room for hoarding information, right? No matter your position, it doesn't matter. As a designer, you would most likely work on a project with about 3 other designers. So where is the time to start hoarding information or start hiding details? Or you collected, or someone, the head of product might have had a conversation with you, and you feel like this conversation is good for a power play in the future, and nobody has that kind of time. You need to, for every information you receive, you need to spread it to everyone so everybody knows what's at stake with what you're working on, especially if you want your team to provide the best value. So this is why Agile makes teams smarter, right? Which is the whole point of this entire conversation. Before I go ahead, I'll escape this, the full screen. I want to make sure that you guys are with me and I am not just speaking to myself. So 1 second.
Yeah, I was saying that I don't know if anybody can hear me now because I've been trying to talk and I don't know if it was working. I had to leave and join. But can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, okay. I don't know if it was me or was on my own. Well, for my own, this slide was actually frozen. As in, but now as I
Oh,
just joined back, it's actually on the lights page. Maybe it was just
okay.
my side.
I do think it's important for me to say that for every time the what is it called, my slide is frozen, just know that I probably am not scrolling, and that's why it freezes up. Like it's whatever you saw when I moved to the next slide. Whenever it freezes, it's still on that page. So the reason it freezes is just I'm not moving my screen because my laptop is screen touch, so I'm not moving my screen, and because of that it freezes. So once I move it again, I move to the next slide, it unfreezes itself. I do hope that helps and nobody thinks they are missing out on anything. When I move to the next slide, it opens up and you see the next slide. You're not missing anything. So I just wanted to be
Okay.
sure everybody's with me still.
Yeah. Okay. So, okay, so we said people say it has been frozen for almost an hour. So that means it wasn't actually from my own end because I had to
Okay.
switch from my laptop to my phone. I don't know why, what issues do on my laptop I have it, but I can't log in from my laptop. So I was thinking I was having the technical difficulties, but it seems like it
Oh,
wasn't only me that's having
okay.
that
So
issue.
I think I should stop doing full screen. Can you see my screen presently?
Yeah, we can see your screen presently.
Okay, I think I should stop like with the full screen and like hopefully this fixes the freezing thingy. And don't
Okay.
worry, this material can be shared with
Yeah,
everybody.
yeah, now you're changing your slide and we can see the changes now. Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
all
Okay.
right,
This works.
all right,
Sorry to cut it.
sure. Thank you. Um, so we're going to discuss the benefits of the Agile team or why Agile makes the team smarter. The first one is that it increases collaboration. right? Because the agile methodology, the whole concept behind it is that it allows for flexibility. If you are leaving room for flexibility, the whole point of wanting to be flexible is to be able to listen or gather the input of every other person involved, aka your stakeholders. With that, the whole thing it does for you is that it increases the collaboration between teams. So the feedbacks that you get, you can only get them by involving the other stakeholders, getting just picking their brains on what you're working on and having conversations, strategic conversations, and what it does for you with the goal being that you continue to improve your product or your idea of your product. What it does for you is that it increases your collaboration, your ability to communicate and reach out to people that matter in your product development. And it allows for you to speak to them and hear from them and all that. So it increases collaboration. And the next thing is that it allows for rapid feedback loops. So one thing about agile is that there has to be a loop. Like, how, when we talk about the feedbacks you're collecting and all that, how do you even create a system? Because you can't continue to do that blindly, especially when we're talking about customers. Like, I'm collecting feedback from customers. How are we able to do that? We're able to do that because we can create a system, or we have to create a system that allows for us to collect feedback, build on it, and provide an update and collect feedback again. For an already established product, I'll give an example. OPay is an already established product, but OPay also has a CX team, right, and a fraud team. What do? They collect feedback. They create. So if you want to report a situation with OPay, MoneyPoint, Kuda, what you would do is that you would create a ticket. You would send an email, but mind you, that email doesn't go as an email to them. It goes as a ticket to them, a CX ticket. CX is customer experience, right? The CX ticket tells them, go straight to the CX team, and someone on the CX team has to classify it. Is it a fraud inquiry? Is it a product inquiry? By a product inquiry, it means someone is complaining about how the product functions and how it has prevented them from being able to enjoy the product. So it has marred their experience with your product. Now, when this happens, the CX team would forward this particular ticket straight to the product team. And mind you, in most product teams, there is no direct conversations with engineers or with the entire development team. All conversations go straight to the product team. The product team being the product manager. The product manager is usually someone that combines the responsibilities of product owner and scrum master. But if you're working with a team that has that separated, then we're talking about the product owner. So if once there is a complaint about the functionality of a product, it goes straight to the product owner or the product manager. And then what they do is, from that complaint, they're able to create a task and have a conversation. We've received this particular complaint more than once, and we've tested it, and it's actually true. And because of that, we would need to do this. Is it a UI, an interface situation, or is it a functionality situation, right? We need this to do this, and it's not doing that. So you have a conversation, you find out whom amongst the engineers will be working with you and all that. That is the loop. Like, this entire system of collecting data, collecting feedback from customers, and then being able to disperse those tickets to where it needs to go, right? That feedback system is the loop where it goes from customers all the way down to engineers, and there is updates, and there's an iteration. That whole conversation with either the designers and the engineers, or like QA testers, how did we test this and we are not able to find out that there was a problem with this system and all that, and then being able to iterate and fix it and create an update, and then that update is we're able to create that update for the users and it goes back to them. It's an entire feedback loop, right? And the agile methodology allows for the ability to create a rapid feedback loop, right? Because of the need for iteration or feedback and updates. And it allows for continuous improvement. It's not, again, at the Agile framework doesn't allow for one-time delivery of a product. Even after you've delivered a supposedly perfect product without bugs. Can you see my screen?
Yes, yes, I can see your screen, but was slightly behind time. If you can like summarize the rest, it's going to be really
Oh,
nice. I
okay,
think we're
okay.
behind time. Yeah.
So we have the continuous
Can you hear
improvement.
me?
Yes, I can hear you. We have the continuous improvement and we have adaptability to change, and then the empowerment and ownership. The Agile framework allows for people to own their tasks and just the ability to own tasks and responsibilities are very, I feel like they are very empowering for the people in question. So the common agile roadblocks or challenges with agile is misalignment of priorities. Something that could happen with all that iteration and feedbacks and all that is sometimes there is a lack of priority alignment for everybody. And something that could happen as well is that you lack stakeholder engagement because you're trying to engage so many stakeholders. You start to lose some of their attention, and too much focus on processes could happen as well. And then sometimes roles and responsibilities could be unclear again because of how much changes have to be allowed to happen with the flexibility. So here, the best practices for success with the agile environment is to prioritize communication and transparency. Like I said before, embrace flexibility and change, focus on delivering value to the customers, and continuous learning and adaptation. And that is the end. I wanted to have a very brief conversation about um, entering the workforce in the tech space. And I wanted to just give you some insight. I'll start with this. When it comes to salary negotiation, some jobs would not write their salary range. That's a red flag, by the way. When a job does not give you the salary range off the bat, you like when a company does that, they know what they are doing. They are attempting to get the lowest price for the best talent, and you should be aware of this. It's a red flag, but as a beginner, there are a lot of red flags that you can look over. And I need you to just know that you should be strategic with applying to roles and interviewing with companies. Strategic in the sense that you need to remember, because a lot of times when you look online to find advice about entering the tech space or just entering any official or corporate space at all, it gets very confusing because a lot of the people that are advising you are people that are very advanced in their careers. They have like 7 years, 10 years, 13 years experience, and you don't have that. So I need you to understand that there are some things you can swallow and deal with as a beginner, like in the space, right? Begin whatever industry it is, just decide how much you can handle as a beginner and decide how long you can handle it. If you feel like this company is very disorganized and you want to you want to start with them so that you can have the experience on your CV, you can decide, okay, I'll work with them for 1 year, and you go with them. You already, from their behaviors during the recruitment process, you can already detect what it is that will turn you off. It could be that you'll be paid so low, but you feel like they have a name in the industry and you want to gain this experience. So you just say, I'll give myself 1 year or 2 years. And it's actually advised in this day and age to not stick with one company for so long, that the longest you should stick with a company is 2 years. And there are so many studies that have backed this up. As much as we always advise people to stick with one company in Nigeria, it doesn't benefit your pocket and your experience, like just your just how much experience you gain within the industry. If you stay, especially in the tech space, if you stay in one place for 5 years, you're not really doing yourself a favor. So as someone that is new in the space, be strategic, decide on what it is that you can handle. And if it's just being disorganized that this company is showing, if they are disorganized, but they're going to pay okay, like based on industry standard, and you're okay with just handling or dealing with the disorganization, and you want this company on your CV because you know what it can do for your CV, then give yourself time. Ask yourself, how long can you handle this? 1 year, 2 years? Don't lie to yourself about your ability to endure things, and just be prepared for the worst all the time. Like, prepare yourself, pick up certifications so that when you're about to leave this company, you're not left with nothing. When you leave one company, you've already moved yourself upwards and ready for the next opportunity. That's like, I just felt it important to mention that. And Perry also mentioned that I should consider giving some advice based on that. And just also, when you see companies that their forms, like all this, fill this form and all that, the entire process is so cumbersome, it's a sign that these companies are very disorganized, or there is a sign that these companies do not really have interest in their employees. And as far as they are concerned, you're here to just come in and do your job. We don't care, you know. It gives off that. Whenever a company shows you who they are, believe it from the start and plan your exit strategy. And always make sure to exit a company clean, like there is no bad blood, everything. Like, when you're leaving with a blessing. Sometimes it's difficult, but just do your best to, when you're leaving a company, that is properly planned and done in such a clean way that there is no record of, you know, you haven't done well, or you didn't leave the company well, and all that. So that's all I will say on that. And thank you everyone for attending and being present today. And don't worry about the times that my screen was frozen. You will get this material if you want it. So thank you again for attending.
All right, thank you very much, Sandra. That was a knowledge bang. That was a lot of information. I hope we've all like one or two things from what Sandra had said concerning the master's room and the rest. It was, I feel that we should actually we have to re-listen to this video actually to, like, I felt like it was a lot of knowledge to actually digest digest in. So it's actually that we have to actually, because the videos are actually going to be uploaded on our YouTube channel as usual. And the slide will be also be shared to in the various cohort classrooms, so you can actually re-go through it. You can actually rewatch the video and digest it. I feel like there's a lot of rich knowledge down there. So because of time, actually, we just go quick into the Q&A section. So if you have any questions you want to ask, you can ask that in the Q&A. We'll be actually looking at that now. If you have any question you want to ask, you want us to answer, you can just start asking them in Q&A. So we would know. We would know. All right.
Please ask your questions so we can take your questions.
Yeah, if you have a question, you can ask your questions. I don't think anybody is actually asking a question.
Okay.
I don't know. Okay, I have some questions coming in. Okay. So somebody asked, what advice do you have regarding having offers from abroad?
Oh, offers from abroad. Okay. Um, so first of all, because of a lot of scamming that goes on with um recruitment, right? I would advise to be very careful and research these companies and look for people. Like, when you see a company, any company abroad that is willing to hire someone like in another country, means that is a very established firm already. So when you check online, you should be able to see the CEO, the recruiter, and all of those information on LinkedIn and the company website. And once you're unable to see those things, it's a red flag, right? Like you should be very concerned. And when it comes to salary negotiations, first of all, do your research. And second of all, do not rush into it. Allow them, like when you're asked what is your expectation, allow them to tell you what the budget is. You could start with saying that you just don't say just, please. Just say your goal is that you get paid what you deserve based on your experience within your industry, right? You don't want to be rated lower than your industry. The goal of this is that you are not telling them this is how much I want, and you end up like under quoting or over quoting, and they feel like they can't pay you. But at the end of the day, give them room to tell you what their budget for the role is, and just do your research, because I have seen a lot of fake offers. Like, it's such a thing in the tech space. A lot of fake companies reaching out to people and all that. So just be very careful, but be open to it, right? Make sure you applied. Either you applied to the role actually, or that someone reached out to you on LinkedIn. And if they do reach out to you on LinkedIn, make sure you're not providing any unnecessary information. Just be careful.
All right. You always have to do your research. Very, very important. Very, very important. Too many fake companies. I mean, you have to literally do a Google search on them, check the LinkedIn, check the website, find out if they're legit, find out, even you can even go to the point of checking their LinkedIn and seeing who is actually working there, people who are claiming to be working there, going to their profiles. Just do some digging. You have to do some digging to be sure that you're not going to get involved in a scam. Okay, so the next question is, please, how can I get this? Okay, the full slide of the presentation. Like we said, the full slide of the presentation will be shared after the meeting in the various cohorts. I think for cohort 1 and cohort 2, it's going to be shared in the announcement forum. That's why you can get the full slide, and the video will be uploaded on our YouTube video, so you can actually rewatch that. So you guys don't have any more questions, because I'm not seeing any more questions. I think everybody is satisfied. Ask your questions. People are going to go into the market space very soon. Like you said, how to negotiate for the price salary. A lot of people, like, they're actually finding the cheapest person to actually hire. They're finding the cheapest. Well, really, they're finding the cheapest person to actually hire, but they're finding who can still get the work done, but you can't actually, don't really know the worth or the offer. So that negotiation skill is very, very important. You might be good, like you might be very good, and when it comes to negotiation, you might not be very good at, and that's not actually a good part. Whereby you're good and you're being underpaid. Your value is not being it's not being valued there, you're being underpaid. So you always have to ask them, okay, what is your budget for this role? So you can know where you can actually start from. But before you actually go for the interview, also know the salary range for the post you're actually going to. Do some research so you can know a price range to actually bargain on with it. So you wouldn't feel like you're being underpaid.
Yes.
Okay, so in absence of any more questions, I hope you all learned a lot from today's Variety Friday. Me, I actually learned a lot. I'm actually going to rewatch this particular video. I wouldn't lie. I'm going to rewatch the video. It was a lot of information. A lot of information. Yeah, a lot of information. Okay, somebody asked, okay, let's take one more question before we end it. Somebody asked, can I make use of the Agile? Okay, no more question coming in. Maybe it's my network. Somebody asked, can I make use of the Agile app on the mobile app? On the Agile app on the mobile phone? Can I make use of the Agile app on the mobile phone?
Which of the apps though?
Sandra,
So I am asking the person which of the apps. Most apps are tools or agile tools have a mobile version, but the mobile versions are usually limited, right? They don't have everything that the web apps or that the web apps do have. So my question to you is which of them, but it doesn't even really matter. Just if you're going to use, I'll give you an example, Slack and things like Notion and something else, Notion and Mirror. Mirror is also a very good planning tool. All of these things that I have mentioned have a mobile version. The mobile version doesn't really allow you to fully access the entirety of the app. So you want to be able to also give yourself the option to use it on your laptop for very important updates and all that. But yeah, if you're trying to just have an overview of the tool, then definitely you can go through it with your mobile device. But all I'm saying is that it's a limited version you get for the mobile apps.
All right. I hope Ali, I feel I'm betraying your name. I'm sorry about that. I got that information. I hope you got that information. All right. So in absence of any more questions, I think we can end today's Variety Friday. I hope we all learned something today. I hope this can actually help you more focused as a team, how to go about the goals, how the an approach to actually go about on the goals and achieving the goals of the project. Because believe me, you might feel that it's not useful now. So you have to work with an actual full team. When you're no longer working solo, you have to, you're working with somebody, your work is dependent on somebody's tracking you. They will know the importance of this. So please, I encourage everybody to rewatch the video, go through the slides. Believe me, it's not a waste of knowledge. So, in absence of more questions, I think we can end today's Variety Friday, and we see you guys next week Friday with a different topic. Have a good night. Sandra, thank you very much for the information. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having
It was
me.
really nice having you here.
Good night.
All right, everybody have a good night.